Welcome to Life Esteem, a program committed to deliver information that's important to you and your community. Your hosts are Nathaniel and Patricia Gadsden.
Hello, welcome again to Life Esteem. Always great to have you as a viewer. Hey, today we're going to talk about the martial arts. We have with us the West Shore Academy of Martial Arts, Vince Vergara, and also Fred Waters. Fred has been on the show before. He's a master martial artist and has been around with self-defense techniques. And we're really glad both of you guys came on the show today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us here.
And we want to know all about this West Shore Academy of Martial Arts, who Fred actually introduced us to and highly recommended. And then you came up and did this wonderful program for us at Kwanzaa, bringing in all your students, at least a number of students, over at the Harrisburg Area Community College. That was great. Tell us about your school.
The school was actually started by my instructors, Brian Butt and George Knoll, back in the early 80s. I took over the school with one of my fellow students, Tom Bruner, around 1992. And since 95, I've been running it as the sole owner of the school. The school itself teaches an art form called Jungsamdo. It's a Korean martial art, which encompasses the major styles of Korea, which are Taekwondo, Hapkido, and Judo. But along with the basics of traditional martial arts training, we do focus on self-defense as well as conditioning with our fitness kickboxing programs. We've just started, and this Saturday we'll be starting a special needs program for young students who would otherwise not have the opportunity to have martial arts training. So there's a lot of benefits from the martial arts in general, both physical, mental, spiritual, depending on what you're looking for. A lot of students will just come to us like during the summer after their senior year in high school, so they can learn some basic self-defense before they go to college. Our cardio kickboxing program is very popular because it's very intense physically, and we do tend to push you to your own personal limits, and we focus on strength, flexibility, as well as just the right mindset when you train. So,
Oldest and youngest in your classes that you've trained?
We start them as young as 5, wow. And we don't have a set age for students. We've had students as old as 75 years old participate in our class. Wow. So we've had a number of them. And when you train, you go at your own pace. You do practice as a class. Maybe the first part of the class, everyone doing the same thing, but afterwards, say the second part of the class when you're working skills and techniques, you're going at your own pace. So for the younger students or the ones who are naturally athletically gifted, they tend to go a little harder, a little faster, a little stronger. For those who may be a little older, love practicing, but don't have the bounce that the younger students do, they go at their own pace. But at the end, it's the same goal that's trying to be reached, perfection of skills.
Fantastic,
So.
Now let me ask you, I'm going to ask a question,
Sure,
get back
sure.
to your form, okay?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's called again?
Jungsamdo.
Okay.
Yes.
How many forms are there in regard to the different types of martial arts? Because I hear different terms and phrases, and I'm like confused. It seems to be overwhelming sometimes. There's a number of different ones?
There are thousands of different martial art forms, and a lot of times it's differentiated by their country of origin. Right. I can be general about it, as general as I can be. Usually martial arts from Japan are called karate styles.
Right.
These are more the striking styles. You also have like judo and jiu-jitsu and things like that. The Chinese martial arts will use terms like kung fu or tai chi or wushu, and the Korean arts will use the general terms like taekwondo, hapkido, tang sudo, things like that. But that's very general. If you ask a particular instructor or a particular school what they teach, they'll be much more focused on telling you what they are and where they came from. Okay. So, especially if it's a traditional martial arts school. Right. So, and I'm only speaking from my experience. I've been doing this for more than 30 years now.
30 years,
yeah.
wow.
Right. Fantastic.
Okay.
Now, Fred Waters, you do a lot of martial arts as well, but you also are a defense you're like a defense expert. You teach people defensive
Defensive
techniques.
tactics,
Defensive tactics. Talk about that a little bit too. And what's the name of your company as well?
ISDI, Institute of Self-Defense, which I'm kind of winding it down now because of retirement. But what I do, I help out people if they need to know how to defend themselves, like disarming weapons. That's my specialty on disarming 9mm, 45, shotguns, knives, clubs, rape prevention, carjacking prevention. Basically, it's anti-terrorist defensive tactics, what I teach. So I put it out there basically for the military use, but today, and everybody needs to know something. Just on basic awareness, on just being aware of your surroundings is the best way to combat any type of terrorism, just being aware. If you see something, you don't have to fight. See something, make a phone call, get out of the way.
That just happened. A young man at one of the colleges observed his roommate, actually came at him with a weapon.
Yes.
And he immediately called and closed the door and jammed it and called 911.
Yes.
Which probably they felt saved a lot of lives
Oh, yes.
as a result of that one action on
Yes.
his part.
It's just using common sense.
Common sense.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, how did the two of you meet and this kind of thing? Because you actually introduced Master Vince here to,
How did we
to
meet?
us.
I think it was in an action filmmaking seminar, or at least we had some common people from that area.
Yeah, did we meet on a set somewhere?
I think we did, and we were just like,
I can't remember, but we've been friends for a long time because we both went to was at the action stunt school up in New York, to be an action stunt fighter. And I can't remember, but I went 99, 98, 99, and 2000. I went 3 years to the school. And when did you go?
95, 96.
Yeah, because he got in the movie before I did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
He got in the big movie before I did.
Yeah, which movie?
Well, they were produced by a local producer and director, but it was distributed by a Hong Kong distribution company. There was a movie called Super Fights, which was actually filmed in Harrisburg.
Saw it, yeah.
Yeah,
saw it.
a part of it was filmed at the farm show. Actually, a lot of the local areas. So I was one of the gang members in that. So the producer wanted to get into other things too. So besides martial art movies, so I was asked to play a part in a movie called Watch Us Die.
Oh, that's why I met you at then.
No.
Because watchusdie.com.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in that too.
Yeah, I was a voyeur in that movie, and I know you were a police
I
officer. or
was
something?
a SWAT cop with
Yeah.
a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's what we
stuff.
met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's great.
So you
Didn't know about that
card-carrying
part.
members then?
No,
No.
No. Those are all independent movies.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
independent. So when you're independent, you don't have. Okay.
Yeah.
What I found interesting, I think Super Fights was the one that they taped also down at the Chinese restaurant on Front Street.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Chopsticks when it was
Chopsticks,
around.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was neat watching it because the premiere was in the West Shore Theater.
Okay.
So big plug for that place because we'd love to see that stay around.
Yeah.
And it was a great premiere night. Watching it was fun because we could recall and recollect like all the different places
Yeah.
that they were showing in the Harrisburg area. So that was a really fun movie to
You
film.
still have copies of that?
sorry?
You still have copies of that? You don't have?
Oh yeah,
you
I have a
good,
DVD
okay.
copy. I have
All
a
right.
VHS copy.
You have copies.
Yeah.
You got to have copies, man.
And we're also another movie that's waiting to come out too, No Sanctuary.
Oh, really?
NoSanctuaryMovie.com is the website. That's one I talked to you about. We shot that back in 2005 by the independent producer Jake Stetler out of Lancaster, and that's coming around now. You know, it's the big difference: independent producer and Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, big
you know,
time,
So
yeah.
the funds it's a big
Oh, yeah,
difference.
sure.
So anyway, it's wrapping that up now, where it's going to become a reality now. It's getting ready to happen. So, and we're both in that movie. I was a fight choreographer, and I starred in the movie too as a blind special forces soldier.
Okay.
And we also have a fight scene together in the movie.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Against
it's
each other.
going to be good.
Don't
Oh,
tell
my
us who
God.
wins. Don't tell us.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Gotta see it.
That's
But yeah, but if anybody wants to check on it, it's NoSanctuaryMovie.com.
Sanctuary movie.
Yeah, go to the email address and they will send you a letter or send you something when the movie comes out to let you know more about it. But
That's
so we've done a lot of things together.
What got you both started with martial arts? I mean, you
You
know.
said 30 years? How long you been?
Yeah. So,
Ooh, I hate to say, I started when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, I was,
Over 35 years.
and I think I was 16,
16?
17 when I started.
Okay. Now, did you play other sports as well, and how did you find martial arts?
Oh, yeah, actually, I was a football player, and I participated in track and field. So I was into the traditional sports. I started my martial arts training between the summer before my senior year, and I enjoyed it so much that I didn't play football my senior year. So, and I've continued, almost without a break since, if not in a traditional place, like on my own. So.
And once you get involved in it, I mean, it's like a whole lifestyle, and you meet friends, and you go all over the place, and I have a good buddy. I don't know if you know a guy named Phil Ayers, but Phil is an attorney and also retired now, but he, practiced martial arts for a long time, different places. He used to tell me about all these different, things we're going on tournaments and stuff like that. And of course, I know you know Ali Muhammad.
Oh, yes.
Oh, everybody knows Ali.
Yeah.
I mean, boy, he's a legend in this area.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah, he's real good. So, and so many others. Jeff Washington.
Oh, he's
know
good
Jeff?
too. We
Oh,
studied
Jeff-
together.
You just studied.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
well, yeah, when I had an afro. I started martial arts when I was 18 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 years old, and we started with Walter Dobson, Sensei Walter Dobson of the. We're the original Golden Dragons. We started out of Stilton.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jeffrey and I, we go way back.
A guy named Banks. Do you remember his name? I can't think of his full name.
Lee
Boy.
Banks.
Lee Banks.
Yeah, he was my instructor's instructor.
Okay.
Walter Dobson's instructor, Lee Banks. Matter of fact, I just seen him this summer
Okay.
at the, what was the tournament we was just at up at City Island? The last one?
Breath of Nature?
Yeah, Breath of Nature. I seen him up there. Now he's good.
That's the other thing I like about that whole, like that breath of nature.
Yes.
That's so quite Chinese.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like that.
Very, very good.
That's wonderful stuff. And
Tell
how about
us, yeah, and what about yourself? How did you get started?
some of your masters.
Some of your
some people,
masters.
yeah,
Oh,
teachers
okay.
and stuff.
Well, like I said, I started. My interest was started from watching kung fu theater movies.
Oh, was it?
They were on
Okay.
Saturday afternoons,
Absolutely.
and I didn't know what I was getting into. I basically went to the first school that I came across, and at the time it was located on Market Street in Camp Hill, and I just went in there and I got hooked from the very first. Since then, I had mentioned earlier my original instructors, Brian Butt and George Noel, I was with them from, I believe, 83 to 92 or so. And then from there, I've been under the guidance of Master Joe Fox, who has a school in Harrisburg also.
Oh, okay.
And, but on top of working under him, I do fill my knowledge with research, which includes not only reading, but also participating in seminars, and since the invention of YouTube, every once in a while, going through there to see what's out there that's different, or a lot of times I see something that I know, but I see it in a different way, and I think that's where you get your experience, knowing one thing but getting a lot of things out of it. So.
I'll start to tell a lie and say I studied under Bruce Lee, but I won't do that. I won't do that. I'm just going to stop myself now. Okay? But Bruce Lee, I mean, he was such a phenomenon back in the day with the movies and that kind of thing. Did he have any influence on you at all, or was that kind of, because he was back in like the 70s, I believe.
That's
more,
what got us
something.
all started, I think.
Yeah.
Just watching that.
Yeah, I think especially since he saturated like martial art magazines, like Black Belt magazine. Every time you open up a page, there's an advertisement to buy his poster, his orange nunchucks. There was always something to remind you that he was one of a kind.
Yeah, absolutely. He was that
Definitely.
boy. Now you mentioned Zhang Shimdu.
Yes.
Okay. I noticed that some people, they actually take up swords. They have like over in Camp Hill. I noticed they had a school at one time, and they were fighting with these huge swords and all that kind of stuff. So have you explored other forms of martial arts? I mean, have you thought about maybe judo and other stuff like that sometimes?
Well, in terms of weapons, our weapons training does include the bow or long stick, long staff, the sword, and nunchucks. We have a demonstration and competition teams as well, where they're given the liberty to practice other traditional martial art weapons. So, what I do is I know basics of other weapon forms. I kind of teach it to the students, and then I give them the creativity, go ahead to make up their own combinations for competition or for performances, for demonstrations.
And you too, Fred, do you work in other forms? Have you worked with weapons and stuff? Well, you do work.
I do, but I focus more on today's weapons.
Okay.
He does a lot of traditional weapons, and they're good at doing it. I mean, they can flip them swords around, do all that stuff. What I do is take them away from people. That's what I focus more on, taking the weapon.
That's pretty good.
That's a different. Now, one of the benefits I understand, talk more about it, Vince and Fred both, is of martial arts in regard to discipline for young kids. What do you see that really allows this to allow them to meet or become their best self?
Okay. Well, it first starts with the culture of the school that you go to. Hopefully, you go to any martial arts school, you'll see that everyone that's already in there already knows the protocols of, what you're supposed to do. For example, we have tenets or principles of courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. So we use the tenet of courtesy. That basically means, be quiet, be respectful, and if you kind of reinforce that during the training, for example, we line up and we'll say a command that means attention, like with the children especially. They'll be a little crazy in a while before class starts, but when we go, we clap and say, okay, everyone line up, they're all in attention with their feet together, they're standing straight with their hands at their side. When a new student comes in or someone who's interested in participating sees that, they're like, oh, they might not know what's going on, but the parents are like, oh, those kids are disciplined. So, a lot of it is based on, kind of follow the leader, since in lining up for a class, the more experienced students are up front, the lesser experienced ones are in the back. So the ones in the front are always showing or giving the ones in the back an idea of what they should be doing. And I do emphasize with the students up front that they are setting an example. So, and it rarely happens, but sometimes I'll say something like, and if you can't do it, you can go in the back. And I'll bring someone who's in the back who's being really good up front. And usually that kind of gets that. But most of it is done through the process of positive reinforcement, the idea of praise, correct praise, nothing too negative punishment type, or at least with the newer students.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I've noticed that, excuse me, that, that people say, well, you only become a student once you receive your black belt. I've always heard that kind of thing. And then I saw something where a real young kid was a black belt. And I'm thinking, is that possible that a real young kid can actually receive a black belt? Can they be that proficient at it? Does age have anything to do with it at all? And I want both of you to answer this one. What do you think?
First.
Oh, well, I know in our school we do offer a black belt title to younger students, but we title it as junior black belt.
Oh, okay.
And the idea of that is that they've been exposed to and have passed the basic technical skills of the martial arts up to that rank. There might also be some techniques that aren't shown to them that a senior black belt would learn. Like, for example, we don't start weapons with them until they're a senior, until they move into the adults class. But one of the big differences is there is a certain mentality that I would like to foster with all the students. For example, basically be peaceful unless you have to fight. Being respectful. A lot of times the younger students aren't aware of that yet, or they don't have their own personal philosophy yet because they're too young. But they know how to throw a good side kick or throw a good punch, or know how to do a good roll. So I don't want to not reward them for things that they might actually be better than some of the older students. So, but there is a point where we have to transition them from the mentality of a young student to one of an adult. And when we make sure that transition takes place and that it happens in the way that we're looking for to do that. I know some schools might not, and that would be the personal philosophy of that instructor.
Gotcha.
So,
So that they do that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
One of the things I noticed from your literature is you said how important the parents' role is in this. Talk about that.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, the martial arts isn't easy. If it was, everyone would be doing it.
That's right.
Okay. So, you know, we do ask that the students themselves practice at home. Now, some love it, and it's their thing. They don't do anything else. No other sports. They eat, drink, and sleep it. But others might have other activities like soccer, baseball, what have you. The parents are usually the ones that take them and pick them up, drop them off, and things like that. So it's very important that, you know, the parents are a strong part of it. At least in the beginning when they start, you know, I recommend that the parents stay and watch so that they know what their children are learning. And when they understand that we're not just making them students who know how to defend themselves against someone who might try to physically harm them, but we're trying to teach them a life philosophy of, you know, being a good person. So, you know, I had mentioned the tenets earlier of courtesy, integrity, and such like that. Well, you know, integrity and perseverance are very important that I think a lot of kids nowadays don't have. And, you know, if I can relate to them, oh, you love video games, you play until you win, well, you know, why don't you apply that same to your studies? You know, and so I try to relate what they do in the floor of the school to, you know, other aspects of their life. And the parents are very happy to do that because they want their children to be successful too.
What's your take, both of you, on this new phenomenon, was it the MMA, where they're fighting and, you know, I mean, these guys, wow. I love boxing. I watch boxing all the time. And I like some of that stuff, but some of it, I don't know. I'm just, man, these guys can really get hurt in there. And I don't know. And I notice a lot of guys who are trained martial artists, or they may be this or that. I mean, they're breaking limbs and everything else in there if these guys don't tap out. But it's grown. It's gotten big. So what is your take on that? Fred, what do you think about it?
To each his own.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's a sport. It's more like gladiators.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be tough, and it's no joke.
Yeah.
And to get out there, to go through that abuse, you know, I mean, that's the way some people want the ultimate physical experience. That is it.
Yeah.
I mean, you have different ways of doing it, but it's sanctioned. You know, it has rules in it, so it's not
Sure.
like they're popping out eyeballs and all
Right,
that.
right.
You know, it's all, I mean, my hat's off to them. That's just not my cup of tea.
No, man.
Especially at my age now.
Yeah. How about you? Mr. Vince?
Oh, well, I think in a way it's a double-edged sword for me in my school. I like MMA, and I like watching it. I do enjoy the sport aspect of it. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's the sport of mixed martial arts, and then there's the training of martial arts for not sport. For example, at an angle that maybe Master Waters does, which is more self-defense. And you really can't compare someone who's really good with traditional martial arts with someone who is an achiever in MMA. It would be, and I've likened this to, you know, if I had to have someone's back, or he had to have mine, would I want someone who was a championship MMA fighter next to me in a bar where I'm going to get in a fight, or would I want someone who's a Navy SEAL? I want the Navy SEAL.
Okay.
So you know, it's apples and oranges. So I think as a combat sport, it's very interesting to watch. I like the training physically. I'm not sure how much philosophy they teach them.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that want to get into it don't realize that how hard it is until they get hit.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're like, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. But because of that, they've dissolved the desire to do something that they were really excited about. I know with traditional martial arts, you can go at it, and then as you improve, things will get harder. It's not thrown at you right off the bat where you know, you're like, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. Because there's a lot of benefits to MMA training. Even if you don't compete, if you train, you can actually be a coach if you're, you know, maybe go more semi-contact.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's different aspects, the striking and the grappling.
Yeah.
Maybe you're strong with one and not the other. So with the grappling part, that's not too bad. You don't get hit. Of course, the pain's a little different.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more severe if you don't tap.
Yeah,
Well, let's talk about girls in regard to martial arts. I mean, is there more and more young women finding this sport that they finding interest in? Is it primarily just men and young boys? what's the ratio here?
And to piggyback on that,
Yeah.
do the girls work out with the boys to compete against the boys?
Well, I know at our school we have a good representation of females.
You do.
Both in our children's and adult classes. And I don't, they train together and I don't differentiate them. As a matter of fact, I prefer it because, you know, if someone's going to pick on a girl, it might be a guy, a bigger boy or a stronger man. And, you know, how you know these techniques are going to work if you're not working with someone who's bigger and stronger than you.
Absolutely.
So, and for the person who's already bigger and stronger, you know, they might be in there for a different reason. Maybe it's just a peace of mind. So, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so girls are finding this as another outlet
Yes.
for them, though, and finding interest in
And,
it.
and in terms of competition, they can be just as competitive.
Can they?
We've had girls go to tournaments where they didn't have competition, and so they would ask if they can compete with the boys at the same age division. And I'm like, if they want to, yeah. Yeah, because I know that they will work with the boys in our school. And I know they fare really well. As a matter of fact, my one daughter didn't have anyone to compete with, so she just fought with the boys. I think after 2 or 3 rounds, she won first place. And they were not easy because one of them was another fellow student, and he's really good. But you know, that just tells you we don't pull anything back. If you want it, we'll give it to you. We'll do what we can to make you a better student.
So you have children, obviously. You just mentioned that, and have they all gone into martial arts?
Oh yeah, they had no choice.
Had no choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
My oldest is up at Penn State College now as a freshman,
okay.
and he's in the process of starting a Jungsam-Do club up there.
Oh, is he?
So, and then my 2 daughters, 15 and 13, are at the school right now, and they actually are assistant instructors for me. My 15-year-old's a second-degree black belt, senior black belt, and my 13-year-old is a first-degree black belt.
Wonderful.
All right.
That's
Good,
awesome.
Good. Fantastic. Fred, did you have children?
My daughter.
Well, yeah. Well, my daughter, well, that's another story.
She didn't want to follow it.
No, but my one son in the military, I'm planning on giving him my business
Okay.
when he decides to have it. That's why I'm hanging up, and I said, if you want it, you can have it.
Okay.
You know, and
But he does have an interest in the martial
yes,
arts.
he
That's
has an
good.
interest in it. I taught him when he went to Afghanistan.
Okay.
I taught him how to disarm weapons, different things like that. Things you use on the battlefield, you know.
All right.
So if he wants it, he can have it.
Well, we're going to quickly run out of time, gentlemen. So give us the address of the West Shore, Academy.
Okay, we're located at 3548 Gettysburg Road in Camp Hill. We're across the street from the Bonton, right off of Route 15.
Okay.
Yeah, and is there a phone number that you can give us?
Yeah, you can reach us at 717-761-3527. Also, our website, westshoreacademy.com. We also have a Facebook page under West Shore Academy of Martial Arts.
Say that phone number one more time, a little slower.
Sure. 717-761-3527.
35, because someone will call me and ask me, what was that number again?
And if anybody
That's wonderful,
mentions your Life Esteem, you said you're going to get, what, 10% off?
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Well, look, I want to thank you guys for coming
Yes,
on.
indeed.
Master Vince and Master Fred, these guys are really, really good at what they do. If you, want to take up martial arts, you may want to go check them out, and I'm sure you do. Anyhow, thanks again for watching Life Esteem. We'll see you next time here on Life Esteem. Have a great day.
Thank you.